Hey, welcome into Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We are in the Lee Company studios at 315 West 7th Street right here in Columbia. I know it looks a little unfamiliar because we've not been here a whole lot over the past 2 or 3 months, but we are here today, and we are here for the next couple of hours bringing you sports topics of local, regional, and national impact. So stick around. It's going to be fun coming from some familiar yet somewhat unfamiliar surroundings.
Yeah, good to be back in the studio, and for good reason. We're not going to give the whole tea away, but we're here for a big day of festivities. Let's just put it that way. And this is kind of really what's just kickstarting things at 2:00 on a Tuesday afternoon. But yes, good to be back. The cobwebs have all been cleared. Not too many animals had to be harmed. We'll save that for Wild and Wacky Wednesday, of course. And so, all in all, it's good to be back and good to be with everybody as we tick and march closer toward high school football getting cranked up Thursday and Friday of this week.
I will tell you, it took more to get us to this moment than I had anticipated. I mean, right up until 10 minutes ago, we were still connecting cables and flipping switches and making sure that everything was everything so that we could come to you all. But the effort is worth it.
Yeah, and the dedication is there. And producer Mark pushing all the buttons behind the scenes. He's the one that makes us look good at the end of the day. So good.
It makes you look good.
Yeah, okay. And
makes me look better.
Makes everybody, makes the whole thing go. And you're right. We've got a big show today, Maurice, because we talk about still a little lingering impact in terms of the Olympics.
Mm-hmm. A little bit of international.
Just a little flavor of international. And then, we get really revved up as we get into the second hour.
I like the way you did that. Yeah.
Sometimes these things just happen.
Yeah, you're a poet and you didn't even know it. Yeah. We've got plenty to get into. In the second hour, we will visit, as we typically do on Tuesdays, unless we don't, with Chip Walters, the Blue Raider voice, bringing us up to date on all things MTSU, as Wade and I both like to keep up with things on campus for obvious reasons. So we will have him at the top of the 3:00 hour. We will have in the next segment TERESA Walker of the Associated Press. And when you get TERESA on, there's no telling where you're going to go. But we're going to start with college football, probably. And then again, from there, who knows? She's out of control. We will also talk a little Braves as they send their bubblegum and chicken wire starting lineup out against the NL East leading Philadelphia Phillies tonight at Truist Park. And man, wish us luck. We'll talk a little Astros, who don't need a whole lot of luck these days.
I'll take all we can get, though, because they got off to such a slow start that it's good to see them back kind of playing relatively well, but making up for lost time compared to where they were, maybe arguably should have been at the start of the year.
Absolutely. Got some hoops to talk about at the collegiate level. Going to talk a little Canadian football as well. And it is Top 5 Tuesday. And Wade and I, in the final segment of the show, will bring you but we're going to give you what we feel like are the best sports quotes. So stay tuned for that. Should be fun.
Real life sports quotes.
Real life, yeah, not sports movie quotes, but actual quotes from folks involved in sports. So I've got one teed up, and I'm just hoping Wade doesn't have it as well. But
I feel like that list could get interesting, and there are probably even some folks that we could include on this list that maybe not be household names to some, but just over the years, some funny quotes. So yeah, I'm excited for that. That'll be a good way to end the show today.
It's going to be fun. Looking forward to it. So let's go ahead and get into it with yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the Rundown.
Let's kick off the rundown with girls soccer, your scoreboard from last night. We begin with Bowling Green and Station Camp as Bowling Green comes in and defeats Station Camp. 2-1 was your final there. Good win for the visitors to kick off your women's soccer scoreboard. Siegel 1, Centennial 0. It was White House Heritage last night. It was Hunters Lane, a 4-1 win versus Glencliff. Loretto all over Fayetteville, 9-0 was your final there. Nolansville taking care of Pope John Paul II, 3-1 is your final tally. It is 2-0 to cap our women's soccer scoreboard. East Robertson defeating Russellville, Kentucky. Once again, 2-0 your final.
In volleyball action yesterday, Blackman. Blackman with a 3-1 win over Providence Christian. It was Middle Tennessee Christian, 3, Brentwood Academy, 2. Collinwood with a 3-0 win over Zion Christian. Eagleville surprised Summertown, 3-1. Franklin with a 3-1 win over Gallatin. Santa Fe outlasted Hampshire 3-2. Loretto with a 3-0 win over Lawrence County. It was East Hickman 3, Mount Pleasant 1, and Rockvale in 5 sets defeated Murfreesboro Central 3-2. In Major League Baseball Monday night, the Astros with some late heroics downed host Boston 5-4.
Capping our schedule from scoreboard from last night, which means our schedule for tonight is upon us. We begin with girls soccer. We begin at 4 o'clock where McGavock will travel to Hillsboro. 4:30, we'll see John Overton at Cane Ridge. Into 5 o'clock kickoffs now between Valor Collegiate at Gallatin. Stratford will be at Kip Nashville at 5 p.m. Also at 5 tonight, it'll be Richland at Loretto in the district opener for both of those teams there. Providence Christian is at University School in Nashville, also at 5. Lawson is at Antioch this evening. Now moving into 5:30 kickoffs, Grace Christian Franklin at Middle Tennessee Christian. Brentwood Academy is at Nashville Christian. In 6 o'clock action this evening, it'll be Springfield at Portland. DCA is at Zion Christian. Lipscomb Academy is at BGA. Giles County will travel to Columbia Academy. It'll be Creekwood at DCA. Richland is at Fayetteville tonight. Lawrence County is at at Franklin County, as some of these scoreboards double dipping here. Some of you may check your local listings here because Greenbrier at Glencliff also set for 6. East Robertson at Hunters Lane at 6 p.m. Dixon County will be at Huntington. Blackman is at Laverne. Centennial at Lebanon. And Hugh Fogg will be at Merrill Hyde.
6 o'clock starts for Cheatham County at Clarksville Northeast, also Summit at Ensworth. STEM Academy traveling to Friendship Christian at 6:30. Green Hill hosting Martin Luther King. Franklin Road Academy goes to Harpeth Hall. Murfreesboro Central is at Rockvale. Page is at Spring Hill at 6:30. At 7, it's Lead Academy at Brentwood. Clarksville traveling to Christ Presbyterian Academy. Shelbyville is at Columbia Central. Battle Creek is at Culleoka. We'll have coverage of that one later tonight on MainStreetMurray.com. Independence is at Hendersonville at 7. Kirkwood goes to Montgomery Central. Oakland hosting Ravenwood. Siegel is at Riverdale. Beach goes to West Creek. Mount Juliet travels to Wilson Central. At 7:15, it's Liberty Creek at Rossview. And at 7:30, McCracken County of Kentucky is at Clarksville Northwest. In volleyball action tonight, 4:30, well, not tonight, today, Santa Fe is at Culleoka. Also, Shelbyville is at Columbia at 5:30. University School of Nashville is at Providence Christian at 5:45, as is Middle Tennessee Christian at Columbia Academy.
Let's roll into 6 o'clock. Volleyball action continuing as Eagleville is at Community. Zion Christian is at FC Boyd Senior Christian, again, 6 p.m. Your first serve there. Station Camp at Gallatin tonight. Loretto is at Hampshire. Laverne at Lebanon. Spring Hill will traveling to Lincoln County. It'll be Collinwood at Mount Pleasant. Riverdale takes on Page tonight. It'll be Marshall County at Rockvale. Nolansville at Siegel. Cookville traveling to Smyrna. Murfreesboro Central Magnet at the Webb School. It'll be Stewart's Creek at White County, and that'll conclude our 6 p.m. window. That'll conclude our volleyball schedule for tonight. MLB action this evening. Game can be seen on TBS or Bally Sports South. It'll be the Phillies at Braves. That'll begin at 6:20. If you got MLB TV, you can catch the Red Sox and Astros. As Maurice mentioned a moment ago, 7:10 first pitch tonight as Houston rallied in a big way last night to get the win. Jacksonville is at Nashville tonight. Tail Wagon Tuesday festivities at 6:35 p.m. WNBA action. It'll be Dallas at the Liberty beginning at 6 on NBA TV. Seattle is at Washington also at 6. And the Sparks are at the Sun. So a triple header tonight in WNBA action. One of them on NBA TV. The rest, check your local listings. Big night of action and a big schedule to conclude Tuesday's epic rundown.
Your top story brought to you, as always, by Piggly Wiggly and Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options available until 6 p.m. Also, their hand-cut meats and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. And Steve Kerr led Team USA's men's basketball team to gold over in Paris a couple of weeks ago. And it appears that that will be his final act in that capacity. Seems he will be stepping back from Team USA while continuing as, coach of the Golden State Warriors. It's not like he doesn't have a regular job, but speculation around who will succeed him centers around assistants Eric Spoelstra and Tyronn Lue, both of whom, were with him in Paris, both of whom are also NBA head coaches in their own right. Spoelstra with the Miami Heat, Lue with the Los Angeles Clippers. And, Kerr said back last fall, I guess, that he didn't plan on coaching the team past this point. To me, it's a 2-year, it's a cycle. Pop coached the World Cup and the Olympics. Now it's my turn to pass the baton. I think that's kind of how it should be. So, going out on top.
Yeah. Steve Kerr obviously did a great job with the team, unless you're related to Jason Tatum. Other than that, I think everybody else on the planet agrees he did a great job with this team. And so,
including Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah, even Halliburton rides off into the sunset with Kerr in that regard. So, will be fascinating to see. And I'm curious. He threw out both of these names. Did either one of these guys appeal to you? Because I feel like Kerr has done a good job of running his course, and now the rest. It's time for someone else to take the reins, as he would say, it sounds like.
It sounds like, whoever else it is, I don't know that they necessarily have the cachet that Steve Kerr has. And even though, Spoelstra has won a couple of championships with Miami, been to 6 NBA finals. Lue has been to 3 NBA finals, won one with the Cavs with LeBron. He won't have LeBron this time. Spoelstra won't have LeBron this time either. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure. I think the biggest thing that the Team USA coach does is manage those egos.
Yeah.
Because, as we were talking to Winston Neal from Columbia State last week, when you got that much talent, sometimes the best thing you can do is just get out the way and let them play.
Yeah.
But I don't know that there's a whole lot of Xing and Oing going on when you've got 12 NBA guys. But, I don't know. Is there somebody else out there that's better equipped than either of these guys?
Not that's jumping off the page to me. Seems like it. That's why I was curious your take. Who's that?
Billy Donovan?
It feels like a natural stepping stone. You got Ty Lue or you got Spoelstra, both pretty highly.
And they've both been in the system.
In the system and both highly regarded in terms of their coaching acumen. So,
and you feel like a lot of this team is going to be back. Obviously not all of it, but a lot of it. You know, Anthony Edwards is dang sure going to be back. You know, Joel Embiid will probably be back.
Maybe. That's the funny joke is, you know, does he play that game of whack-a-mole? Which country does he play for next go around? You know, after spurning France, now does he maybe say, you know what, maybe I'll go play for France this go around?
Does France want him?
Now, that's a great question. He won't be at the MVP caliber. He's just beyond the cusp of his MVP caliber type play, I think, where he's at currently. So obviously, it's fair to say in 4 years he would not be there.
Mm-hmm.
Wemby will be the LeBron at that point and say, maybe we don't want Embiid if he's still healthy. But yeah, you're right. You make a great point.
Now, that's interesting. I'm looking at an article on this on CBS Sports. Anthony Edwards will not play in the FIBA World Cup in 27. So I don't know if that would preclude him from playing on the Olympic team or not, but it says, you know, whoever's the next coach, first thing on the docket will be the World Cup in 27. U.S. came in 4th in the World Cup last year, 7th in 2019. And, you know, getting the marquee players to participate in that competition has been tough for Team USA for whatever reason. So I guess you got to get a coach in place and then let said coach start doing a little recruiting.
Yeah, and that will be an interesting piece of this equation is getting the right guys to go in and play in that particular tournament, because it's kind of, for all intents and purposes, a dress rehearsal. You know, not knocking the FIBA, but I mean, nobody is really as fired up, you know.
No, nobody gets really.
I stayed up to watch 1 or 2 games in Manila last year, but it wasn't like I'm sitting there watching every single game and living and dying with it, kind of like we were with the Olympics. Mm-hmm. And so with that being said, a coach maybe perhaps getting a couple of these superstars in the rotation or just getting to come out and play will be kind of the key piece of this. Kind of like we've talked about with soccer. Everything is kind of cyclical with this job. And so it is interesting to note Mark Few was not mentioned, or at least not mentioned in this particular source here, although it seems like he did a great job kind of behind the scenes as well with Kerr this go around. So I'm going to be fascinated to see what happens. And in 4 years, we'll probably win the gold again, and whoever the coach is, we'll probably be patting him on the back saying, pretty good job. And even if you throw a few stray minutes to the Tatum family, then you're really be in everybody's good graces.
Well, those minutes may not be stray in 28. So
maybe.
Yeah. Let's take a break from the Lee Company studios here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return, we will be speaking with TERESA Walker of the Associated Press. So stay tuned after the break. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
He shoots, and he scores!
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Top 5 Tuesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. We're coming to you from the Lee Company studios here in Columbia. Welcome back to us. And we are now joined by the Queen of Tennessee Sports Media, TERESA Walker of the Associated Press, minus her crown, but with her Paris gear, her Paris swag.
Of something. I mean, there was one day I bought a sweatshirt simply because it was so ridiculously cold in the Bercy Arena that I could not stay warm enough. And yet photographers were telling me that down on the court, it was hot, hot, hot. So if you happen to notice fans like Megan Rapinoe furiously fanning herself courtside, it was a massive difference in temperature. I'm just saying. But yeah, I did get myself a t-shirt and a sweatshirt, and I got to bring a little swag back, right? I mean, it was Paris. It's not like I went, I didn't have time I didn't souvenir shop when I spent a long weekend in Barcelona. I just went around and got memories, and same with most of the Olympics, pictures. And oh yeah, probably one of the best pictures on my work phone, which is the Eiffel Tower lit up from the AP seat in, for beach volleyball. Lit up on a Paris night, to paraphrase a Brad, steal a little line from a Brad Paisley song.
That seems to have been the picture. We had Columbia State men's basketball coach Winston Bennett on, not Winston Bennett, Neal. Winston Neal. Good Lord.
Yeah, different one.
Winston Neal joined us last week, and he's got that picture as well. So that seemed to be the picture to get.
Well, it was. And the funny thing is, my colleague, he was used to this by this point, because I didn't get to Paris till the last week of the games, since the preliminary rounds of basketball were up in the Lille area. And he said, come about this time, it really starts getting better between 9:20 and 10 o'clock local time. And yet, let's just put it this way. I had photographers with real gear getting, do you mind if I get beside you? Do you mind if I get beside you? All trying to line up to get that shot. And and then when I got home, my husband said, you know what? You need to change your Facebook profile picture on my personal Facebook page. And, he's not wrong. It had me with, the Eiffel Tower in behind me. I mean, it's tough to upgrade, but I mean, I had a really nice picture of me in front of an SEC logo from SEC Media Days a year ago. I upgraded with the Eiffel Tower. So, okay.
Yeah, not the worst upgrade by any stretch. Different places. Hey, speaking of SEC, though, by the way, since you invoked the conference by name, college football gets kicked off this weekend. Teresa, you're not flying to Dublin to cover Florida State by chance, are you? I got a couple FSU fans that are toying with the idea of waking up super early and watching their guys this weekend because they didn't make the trip themselves.
Oh, thank the Lord, no. This is my
that'd be too much, right?
It would be. I mean, thankfully, the Titans play on Sunday at 1:00 in New Orleans to wrap up the preseason. I'm taking a long weekend because it's my last chance for a weekend off I don't know when because, for the rest of us, college football starts next week. Tennessee ranked 15th in the AP Top 25 preseason poll, and they start with, I know it's probably not the most glamorous, but Chattanooga. Vanderbilt will get to show off the renovations that and all the progress they've made on the reconstruction of their stadium, with Virginia Tech coming to town next Saturday. What is that? I don't even know the date of that game.
Next
I just
Saturday,
know that
the 31st.
31st. Oh man, yeah. It's like, where has this year gone? I mean, it literally feels like, season just ended. And we got to see Nico Iamaleava. Well, yes, I know I butchered his name. I'm still trying to get it down. But it feels like it was just yesterday that he was running all over some Iowa team in the, the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. All I know is it was a bowl game. And they routed them, shut them out, put up a big game. Now we'll see, now they have the advantage of the helmet to coach the quarterback device in the helmet. To help them. I'm really curious to see how that works with how quick the Vols offense runs. I mean, they get plays off, boom. And so it's like, you've got to be talking fast. I mean, I'm thinking Gilbert Gottfried, that's all, folks, into the ear to get that play call in. So I'm really curious to see how that works. And, Vanderbilt, poor Clark Lee, SEC team previews moved from the AP today. I've shared on social media both Vanderbilt and Tennessee. Yes, I wrote them when I was in France. So that's why there's no dateline on them. I don't think I dateline Vanderbilt with Nashville, since I know that I was writing it while I was in Lille. But the fact of the matter is, just as they make changes and he brings in Jerry Kill and, he brings in a quarterback from New Mexico State as well, makes a lot of changes on staff. The building around him is changing. And yet, just as Vanderbilt works to keep up, well, howdy doody, here comes Texas, Oklahoma, making the SEC even tougher. NIL is changing things. I mean, would any of us be surprised if the Power 4 that used to be the Power 5 changes at some point during this season? I mean, it just feels like we are literally in a earthquake of college football and college sports in general. And here he is trying to navigate it at Vanderbilt. And, they're playing catch up over at Vanderbilt. So I'm really curious to see what they do because, guys, not only do they start the season with Virginia Tech, Texas, Alabama, Tennessee, all come to visit. And I think there's somebody I'm forgetting on that roster. So it's like, I mean, just the home schedule is tough enough. So enjoy the nice new parts of the stadium. Vandy fans, but good luck there, Clark Lee. It could be a challenging year. Let's just put it that way.
And the tough thing about that, Teresa, as we've talked about other situations with other teams, when you look at that schedule, they could be better and still not necessarily have a whole lot to show for it because, like you said, they open against Virginia Tech on the 31st. They've got Alcorn State the following week. Then they go to Georgia State, and best not take that one lightly as they go into Atlanta.
Ask Tennessee how that went 1 year.
Exactly. Then they open SEC play against Missouri in Como. They've got Alabama coming here. They go to Kentucky, step out of conference play to take on Ball State at home. Then they've got the Longhorns coming in here. They go to Auburn. They've got South Carolina here. They go to LSU, and they finish on November 30th against visiting Tennessee. So yeah, it threatens to not be a fun schedule for the Commodores.
And that's the thing. It's tough. I mean, every time Vanderbilt tries to take a step forward, the rest of the league are taking 3, 4, 5 steps ahead. I mean, look at Tennessee. For a while there, Vanderbilt had the upper hand, and they're winning games. They've got the edge in the whole situation, and then bye. Butch Jones, Jeremy Pruitt, and in comes Josh Heupel. And now Tennessee, in the midst of their own renovations, they've got a waiting list for season tickets that, at last word I heard was 15,000. That's right after the 98 national championship level of support for the Tennessee Vols. And as I let off my Tennessee Vols preview, it's like the standard. Josh Heupel understands that it's time now, because look around the rest, forget the SEC, forget Texas and OU coming in, his alma mater. Look around just the campus, what Rick Barnes has done, what Tony Vitello did, winning a national title. And you can't tell me that baseball in the SEC isn't as competitive as SEC football. So it's like it's not keep up with Georgia and Kirby Smart. It's keep up with Rick Jones and Tony Vitello and everybody else that's there on campus, because the standard has been raised. They're putting money into Nealon. They put money certainly into the product. I mean, he's been having recruiting successes, but that's the challenge. Is now it's go win games now and see what you can do, because we're in a whole new world of this college football playoff system. And trust me, I have December 19th and 20th marked on my schedule, because if I'm Josh Heupel and Tennessee Vols, I'm thinking, yes, we should have a chance to play our way into that mix, to have a chance to host a playoff game on one of those 2 days, because why not? I mean, they're starting the season 15th, and if they've made the improvements, if Nico, and I'm sticking with Nico this time, and the returning pieces around him, Cooper Mays, second team AP for a preseason All-America, James Pierce on the defensive line, a guy who is being mentioned as possibly the number 1 pick in the NFL draft next April. He is, first team AP All-American. So there is talent on that roster. You've got guys that have come back like Brew McCoy. You've got Squirrel White. There's talent. I mean, there's talent all around him. Dylan Sampson. Now it's up to this quarterback and these pieces to fall into place. But yeah, the expectations should be higher. I mean, they announced earlier today they're checkering Nealon for Florida. A couple of years ago, would you have dared done that?
No. Historically, you want to draw as little attention to the Florida game as possible if you're UT, regardless of whether it's in Knoxville or Gainesville. So, they are feeling some kind of way in Knoxville these days. Teresa Walker of the Associated Press joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Teresa, you mentioned the Associated Press All-American team. Number 1, Georgia, with a trio of selections: quarterback Carson Beck, offensive guard Tate Ratledge, and defensive back Malachi Starks, who was a first team All-American last year. So following up with the preseason selection, Michigan also with 3, tight end Colston Loveland, defensive tackle Mason Graham, and cornerback Will Johnson. Ohio State with 4. Sorry, Wade.
Yeah, they're loaded yet again. Spoiler.
Including Alabama transfer Caleb Downs. And
Well, and if I remember correctly, Alabama has some, but a couple of those are transfers. So, I mean, that's a whole other thing to to this college football season is, Nick Saban is no longer in the SEC. What can Kalen DeBoer do running the Crimson Tide? And, a couple of the guys that, he's brought in a couple of guys. We'll see how that works because, Alabama goes to Knoxville this year. And we saw what happened. To see what happens there.
It's interesting that you mentioned Alabama and transfers who've been named All-Americans because friend of the show, John Bryce, late yesterday on footballscoop.com posted an article on general manager. And that's that's kind of a new title in college football. But Alabama general manager Courtney Morgan is expected to be approved for a raise from $500,000 a year to somewhere between $750,000 and $800,000. So, this is a guy who is largely credited with the personnel that helped Michigan win a national championship this past year. Was heralded for his work with DeBoer at Washington before both of them came to Alabama. And apparently Southern Cal was hard after Morgan, offering 7 figures before Alabama was able to give him a bump. So, when you talk about a couple of transfers being named preseason All-American, I'm sure that Courtney Morgan has a lot to do with that in his role as general manager, which again, did that used to be director of recruiting, or what exactly is a general manager at the collegiate level, first of all? Anybody?
I'm thinking it's similar to Rand Carthon with the Titans. The guy who's responsible for helping put a roster together. That's why, you don't pay somebody that much money just to do recruiting. You're doing, because let's face it, recruiting these days, it's not just reaching out to sophomores, juniors, and seniors in high school. You're reaching, you probably, smart college programs probably do it similarly to the NFL, where you've got a college, or in this case, high school, and college recruiters, who are monitoring guys who might be looking, to see if the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. So, that's the thing, with the transfer portal, maybe instead of GM, they should just call him the transfer portal guru. That might be the more, accurate title, but that's the thing. Fielding a team, it's not what it used to be. It wasn't just keep an eye on, what are the team recruiting rankings for 2025, which, by the way, Tennessee is looking really good after landing a 5-star offensive tackle over the weekend. But the problem is, write that in pencil. Heck, when somebody lands on campus, having signed their NI, thanks to the portal, write that in pencil. That's the thing. College coaches and everybody on a coaching staff, they're earning every penny of their money now. And isn't it funny? They're crying poor mouth already. Oh, I don't know if we can handle all these other sports on campus. And yet they keep finding ways to find yet more and more and more money for football, which is what brings in so much attention. So it's going to be interesting to see how NIL, the shifting landscape, and this push to get the best talent, because guess what? If a top wide receiver is looking to jump to another program, you need to have somebody on your staff that's monitoring that and recruiting them within the letter of the law. And again, that feels like that's being written in pencil as we speak. So if you're not recruiting at all levels, you're not trying.
ABC.
Yep.
Always be recruiting. TERESA Walker of the Associated Press joining us here on Main Street Sports today. TERESA, before we let you go, we would be remiss if we didn't tap into your Titans knowledge. You mentioned that they go to New Orleans for a 1 o'clock kick on Saturday. Since they did not play their starters this past week in the game against Seattle because of the joint team practices that preceded that game, I assume that you're going to see more starters on Saturday. It's the final time that they go out before the season starts.
Sunday, and yes, that threw me too.
Sunday, my bad.
Sunday at 1 o'clock. So, which is almost perfect because that'll be 2 weeks ahead of the season opener. And yes, Brian Callahan said Sunday that he does want to see the starters for maybe about 3 series ish. So now some starters like Jeffrey Simmons won't see the field. DeAndre Hopkins has a chance maybe to be back by the time they open the season in Chicago, which would be huge for them because I'm sorry, I know what the line is with Caleb Williams. Yes, he looked amazing the other day in the preseason. That's preseason. We're talking preseason. Once the season starts, it's a different speed, which is why it is important to get Will Levis on the field with the receivers that are available. And at this point, it's Calvin Ridley. Tyler Boyd is dealing with a bruised foot that kept him out of the joint practices with Seattle, kept him off the field. Well, shoot, Traylon Burks didn't take the field Saturday against the Seahawks. So, you want to see some, they've got pieces, but they know the offense. They know what they want to do. They've been practicing it and things. But now it's time to start putting them together. And, because that's the thing. The puzzle you can have an idea of what it's supposed to look like. And people have practiced, I'm going to put this piece here. But it's amazing. Once the clock goes and the ball, it's a live game, things change, the pressure change, people react differently. So, yes, it's very crucial that Will Levis gets some snaps with this offensive line, which is drastically different from last year. I mean, yes, NPF looks to be the guy at right tackle. Dylan Radins has emerged, it seems, and it seems to be in the lead for right guard. And you've got, but left, new center, Lloyd Cushenberry, new left tackle in J.C. Latham. Peter Skoronski is different than he was at any point last year because, the poor kid had an emergency appendectomy, before the second game of his rookie season. And he had a whole off season to bulk up and add muscle strength and weight. So and by the way, they're being coached by Bill Callahan. So I want to see them go out with Tony Pollard, Tyjae Spears, and see what Will Levis does with some of these toys. And can they protect him? Only 3 teams gave up more sacks than the Tennessee Titans last year. So the bar is not very high for this offense to do better. But, it's time for us to start seeing some things because they need to see on Sunday and get an idea, okay, we need to work on A, B, D, and maybe not J, F, G, because you know what? Because that clock, picture my cousin Vinny, Marissa Tomei, that is stomping the foot. The regular season clock is ticking louder with every day that passes. And we're counting down to kickoff on September 8th in Chicago at noon Central. And I'm sorry, I'm thinking that's a game the Titans need to go in and win. Why? You're facing a rookie quarterback, and Will Levis has got starts under his belt. With the experience they've surrounded him with, the money they spent, that's a game that they need to go win.
I was not expecting a My Cousin Vinny reference on the show, but I'll take
Well,
it.
I'm speaking to the 2 youths.
There we go. There we go. TERESA Walker of the Associated Press joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. TERESA, we appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday afternoon with your colorful swag, and we'll catch up with you.
Sounds good, because before we know it, it's hockey season, it's NBA season. The hamster wheel is about to get busy, boys.
Shh, 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 shh.
Thank you, TERESA.
We'll talk to you later. When we continue here on Main Street Sports today from the Lee Company Studios here in Columbia, we'll talk a little baseball. Stay with us.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
August 20th, 2011, Dan Uggla homered twice and Freddie Freeman added a long ball as the Braves down visiting Arizona 8-1. Uggla's two-run shot in the first off Wade Miley overcame an early one-run deficit and put the hosts ahead for keeps as Brandon Beachy struck out 7 in 6 innings and George Sherrill, Christian Martinez, and Scott Limebrink threw up goose eggs out of the bullpen. That was this day in Braves history. Wade, we managed to get not one but two Tennessee guys in TDIBH. Obviously, anytime we can mention Columbia Central's Dan Uggla, That's a good deal. But also George Sherrill, who's from Memphis and played his college ball at Austin P.
Double dip with a volunteer state.
Absolutely. Dan Ugla out of Minton, who played his college ball at Memphis. So, yeah. Keeping it all ball all the time.
As long as there's no infield fly, Dan Ugla situation, yes. That's the day in Braves history we'll stay away from.
Stop it. Goodness gracious.
According to
that was bad.
Got to go into October for that. So when that one comes up, just scrub that one out.
We'll see what else we can
don't bring
find.
that up.
No, don't worry. Again, Braves opening a series at home following that 6-4 10-game road trip to the West Coast. They open I assume it's a 3-game series. I've not looked that far ahead because, to be honest, I've been a little discouraged of late. But they have Philadelphia coming to town. Yeah, 3 games starting tonight. 6:20 first pitch, Zach Wheeler, Georgia product, Zach Wheeler, 12-5 with a 2.72 ERA going for the visitors. It'll be Ronaldo Lopez making his first start since coming back off of the injured list with a strained forearm. 7-4 with a 2.06 going for Atlanta. And man, again, even though the Braves went 6-4 on the road trip and finished it up with a 3-1 win against the Angels, the vibes, as you would say, are not good. We talked a little bit about Austin Riley having the broken right hand and being out for 6 to 8 weeks, which obviously, as you look at the schedule, makes it questionable whether or not he gets back before the end of the year for the Braves. But today, the Braves signed Gio Urshela. Now, other than Brady McAtamney, former Main Street Clarksville sports editor, there are probably a lot of folks out there going, who? Well, Gio Urshela was released Sunday by the Detroit Tigers after hitting .243 with 5 home runs and 37 RBIs in 92 games. He has previously been with the Yankees, Twins, and Angels, among others. But, given the timing of Riley's injury, obviously the trade deadline has passed, so your options are severely limited. So this is where we are picking up other teams' cast-offs. So
desperate times,
desperate measures.
Yep.
Meanwhile, former Astro, is that right? Yuli Gurriel?
Yeah.
Has been at Gwinnett most of the season, hitting .300, 12 doubles, 48 ribs, but he has not really played to that level at the major league level since 2021. It looks like they are going to try to get him some reps at third at Gwinnett and see if he is a viable option in the absence of Urshela catching fire. And 243 does not necessarily spark much. So, I mean, this may be the straw that breaks the camel's back right here for Atlanta, really, when you talk about all of the injuries that they have dealt with this year. And when I say that, as a Braves fan, I'm not looking for anybody to feel sorry for my team. I don't anticipate such. When you advance that thought on social media, there's somebody bringing up, well, what about the Dodgers, or what about this, or what about that? Everybody's dealing with injuries. You're right. So
you said the key words on social media.
Yeah. And I mean,
take everything there with
a grain, less than that. But again, as we mentioned a couple of days ago, or yesterday, I guess, the Braves have played 1 game with their opening day starting lineup, and that was on opening day. I challenge you to present another team that is in that similar predicament. And I don't think you can. I don't think the Dodgers have been that wrecked. I don't think anybody, just from a starting lineup standpoint, has had to deal with that to the degree that the Braves have. And yet, they're still in possession of the third of 3 wild card spots at this moment.
Got off to that fast start. We talked for a couple weeks. You said they're one of only 2 or one of only 3 teams that has won 20 games. I remember thinking, yeah, they got off to a good start. It was little did we know at the time it'd be necessary, because that is
that's what's saved.
That's the cushion that's keeping you afloat right now. If I remember correctly, though, 4 wins in 6 meetings versus the Phillies thus far this season. So maybe a chance. You're not even thinking about this series, though, in terms of the division. You're just thinking in terms of vibes, like you said, but also, to me at least, keeping everything afloat for the wild card.
Absolutely.
Now, if you win, you do something crazy and sweep all 3, and then Phillies lose a couple more going forward, and you get that number closer, and maybe then we'll talk. But for right now, it's just all about trying to preserve what you have.
Absolutely.
And starting tonight will be fun, 6:20 as they throw it down.
Robertson County Connection sports editor David Wilson is a Braves fan as well, and we text back and forth from time to time. And so yesterday he hits me. At this point, what does it say about the rest of the National League if the Braves do make the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's a very valid question.
I mean, if Grimace doesn't show up in New York, the Mets are not even close to being in this equation. It took the McDonald's mascot showing up for them to potentially kickstart their season, and that's the team that Atlanta is duking it out with for that 3rd spot, as you mentioned.
And San Diego is
on fire.
Is a house of fire right now, and this is what they should have been doing for the last 2 years. I don't know where it's been.
By the way, you mentioned that. I saw a screenshot. Jackson Merrill is now dead even with Skeens for Rookie of the Year odds. So despite the fact that Skeens doesn't look like he's going to get shut down, that just speaks to the level that Merrill and the Padres, to your point, man, they are a house of fire, as you said, right now. And who knows what happens in that division? That is going to be a wild one to watch down the stretch.
Yeah, because the Dodgers are so beat up. Freddie Freeman's playing with a broken finger, apparently. So, again, your Astros, I don't think they're ever going to lose again.
They probably won't, but, and that would be a wild post-game or postseason parade, the fact that they just went like 91-0 the rest of the season. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens down the way, because they've had to scrap and claw for virtually every step of the way, and they've got a little bit of good fortune in the sense that they finally have found their sea legs right as a guy like Verlander's getting ready to come back, probably either tonight, maybe tomorrow night or Thursday.
Tomorrow night.
It sounds like, thank you. And then, we talked yesterday on the show that a couple of guys are still out for the season. McCullers won't be back. Christian Javier won't be back. But you've kind of figured out a way to win with the team that you've got. And, get into the postseason, and who knows what happens.
And, if you throw Verlander in with Ronel Blanco, who's going tonight, with Framber Valdez, in a best of 5 in particular, that's 3 guys that you throw out there and you take your chances with them.
Yeah, and, give me those 3, and give me Houston versus a team that's either brand new or kind of just got some odd juju to them. If the Yankees or the Orioles or who maybe they get in the postseason, all that pressure that those teams, the Houston would just be playing with house money at this point. They're up 5 games in the West. The team that really kind of scares me is the Guardians. But then as soon as I say that, you got the Twins and the Royals who are now breathing down their neck in the Central.
The Central's getting interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Looked like Cleveland was going to run away with it, but then here come the Twins, here come the Royals.
And the Royals in particular have got that youth with wit in some of those guys, and they don't necessarily know that they're not supposed to be there. So they're dangerous. Yeah.
That's going to be a fun. We mentioned the West in the NL. The AL Central looks equally as fun to watch this year.
Absolutely. Hour number one of Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, is done. When we return to the Lee Company studios here in Columbia for hour number two, we will be joined by the pride of the dimple, the Blue Raider voice, Chip Walters. Stay with us when we come back.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Top 5 Tuesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. Joining us from campus is the Blue Raider voice, Chip Walk. Okay, so maybe he's not joining us from campus. Where are you?
Let's see. What am I doing? What am I doing?
What are you doing? Where are you at? Are you at the Hall of Fame?
Tire store. So, no, I'm at a tire store getting a couple of tires put on.
You're at a tire store.
The dedication is unmatched. We appreciate that.
Hey, ask them if they want to sponsor your hit.
There you go.
We'll mention my name if they.
I think looking. I think I'm sponsoring them today. So anyway.
Yeah, I've bought tires. I know how that goes. That's unfortunate. What is going on campus as we are 11 days out?
11 days out, and you're right. It's getting close. Um, a lot of stuff starting to getting more information out. Obviously, the biggest scrimmage of the year was this past Saturday, and Coach Derek Mason uh, put his team through 121 plays, I think it was. And it's interesting perspective of either a coach or a layman talking about me watching it. I was kind of the impression I thought the defense played pretty good, and then I hear coach talk about he goes the offense won the day and made the defense spit the bit. So any scrimmages are always interesting because if your offense comes out and shows out, coaches are never going to give them credit. Oh, our defense didn't play well, or if the offense couldn't move the ball, well, the defense just was great today. I don't know how you judge all that. Obviously, that's why you play real games at some point because you can judge yourself against others, and that'll happen in 11 days. But uh, you know, Nick Vattiato was Nick Vattiato, and in addition to what he does throwing the football, had an 80-yard run and with a nice little vertical jump over the Maurice Patton Memorial Beer Garden fence down there in the south end zone, and he made a nice hurdle into that area. But you had, Frank Peasant, looked good. Uh, all the running backs flipped cradle, uh, and even the new guys did some things. In the receiver crew, Omari Kelly, he lived up to expectations. Holden Willis did his job. I think the questions that are still out there to be answered. And Saturday, I'm sure went a long way with the coaching staff of what are your rotations going to look like on your offensive line, and who are your have you nailed down all your ones, or does somebody have a chance to or there's some still open spots, because he basically said that was the big move day. If anybody was going to make a big move, that's when they needed to do it. He goes, because what you put on tape is what your resume is at this point. And they spent a lot of time on special teams. That's one thing you can tell that this staff, you don't have a special teams coach, you have a special teams coordinator that is held in the same esteem as the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. So Luke Pascal kind of took over practice at two segments of that scrimmage, one about halfway through where they went through a lot of things, and then one at the end of the game where they went through a whole different set of scenarios. But they put the offense and defense in all kinds of different positions, whether it's backed up to their own goal line or goal line going in, or one of the things he talks a lot about, those middle 8 minutes, the last four of the first four of the second, all those kind of situations. They went through all that, and with 120 plays, they had a chance to get a very pretty solid look at everybody, and I think everybody out there played. All the quarterbacks got their opportunities. There were a couple like Devin Curtis, Parker Hughes, a couple of linebackers that you kind of expect to start were out, dinged up a little bit. I don't think anything serious, but they weren't. They were in street clothes, and so that might have been part of why the defense didn't live up to Coach Mason's expectations on that day. But all in all, very spirited. And the thing was, it started at about 10 and was ended about 12:30. And by the time 12:30 hit, I'm telling you, it was smoking outside. It was about 95, 96 degrees, high humidity. So they got an opportunity to see guys play with fatigue, and that's another whole set of circumstances that you want to put your football team through. And what kind of decisions do they make, what kind of effort are they showing in those type of situations. So all in all, he said bottom line, his first reaction was He goes, the Blue Raiders got better that day. And I think that's what you hope to expect. And, they had about 48 hours until their next practice, which gave the coaches time to go back and review film and see who do we plug in where, who surprised who. I'll tell you one guy that kind of jumped out at me uh, defensively was Kevin Byard's brother. And he is, he was kind of a jersey filler a little bit a year ago, but really came out and during about a 10-play stretch made about 3 or 4 tackles and during his rotations in there, and maybe gives them some depth at a linebacker spot they might not have expected from him. So, you find out some of those type of things when you go through 120 plays, and guys will step up, others will step back, and you learn about all of those.
Tell us more about Kevin Byard's brother. Like, what's his name?
I knew you were going to ask that, and his last name is Byard, and it starts with an M and has a Z in it and a U, and if I have it on my chart in front of me, I can give it to you correctly. But I see you're looking it up on GoBlueRaiders.com.
I'm trying to look at
right there.
Muaz.
He's a red.
Muaz, Muaaz,
right.
Byard.
Yeah. Yep.
I did not realize that he was there.
Sophomore.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's been there a couple of years, and he's one of those that has developed from I've told a lot of people this. There's a big difference between a good high school player and a college prospect, and we see that all the time. And a lot of times it's hard for parents and friends and family sometimes to understand that there is a difference. And I think he came in there as probably a pretty good, if not really good, high school player. He has developed himself with hard work into a college player, and that's a tip of the hat to him. And you see that a lot, and that's one of the things I think that Coach Mason is. Obviously they're going to try to sign the best they can, but whether it's out of the transfer portal or a JUCO or the high school kids that they have signed, and is that are you going to get that 5-star guy out of high school? Maybe not. But the guys that you get, you want to put them in a position where they can develop and be a developmental program to make them really good players. And I think Muaz is a guy who fits right into that mold.
And it's interesting, Chip, that we're talking about him specifically in regards to player development, because I remember 2 years ago at the jersey retirement ceremony, you see the Byard family on the side and, you see the name and everybody gets excited and, you're like, okay. But you kind of just didn't get the feeling that like you said earlier, it was almost felt like a jersey filler type situation. And now here we are, flash forward 2 years later, and we're talking about a guy that's making a meaningful impact on the defense, it sounds like, which to me speaks to the growth, not just of Mazaz, but also to the growth and potential with his coaching staff of bringing new guys along like that.
Yeah, and I think the former staff gets a lot of credit too for bringing him to a certain point.
Right.
And now you've got fresh eyes, new hands on them. Jamie Blatnick, the strength coach, who is Sam, our boy Sam Dowden did a podcast with him last week, and it's really interesting to talk to him about what his priorities are as a, when you think strength and conditioning coach, you start thinking, okay, how much iron are they throwing around and all that. And he talks about his philosophy. A ton of it is flexibility and speed. They do during the summer, you come to the weight room 4 days a week. 2 of them are max days and 2 of them are what they call dynamic days. And that's speed and jumping ability, the things they do with, if you want to look at some good videos, go find Jamie Blatnick's Instagram page and look at the box jumps and the things that the guys have done there. And also men's basketball. They, Blatnick's staff has worked with them, and there was a on the men's basketball Instagram page the other day. There was a bunch of before and after pictures of like all these different guys, everybody from Cam to every Loof and all those guys, what they look like at the beginning of the summer and what they look like now. I mean, it's pretty amazing the type of how they've kind of redefined their bodies, and I think a lot of this that you're going to see, uh, a lot of credit's going to go to that strength staff of what they've been able to do, and get that program going during the summer, because the strength coach, he's the one guy who all summer long can have his hands on all the players. None of the other coaches can, but he can, and what you're going to see is an offensive line, and we'll see how skilled they are being reconstituted from all across the country. You're going to see guys that are bigger than we've ever had, and lengthwise, uh, wingspan, that kind of thing. You're going to see long guys who can run and have some size about them. And uh, I think this is a group that's going to have a chance. We'll see how they do early and come together. But right now, they're a work in progress, and you see some good things on a lot of downs, and you see some things they need to work out on other downs, and you just try to eliminate those out of the second category as much as you can.
Chip Walters, the Blue Raider voice, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Obviously, looking forward to that August 31st matchup with Tennessee Tech with the totem pole. The totem pole is still on the line, right?
According to Chris Massaro at Media Day the other day, it is. So Harvey will be up for grabs.
Do we know Harvey's?
He has a very nice.
Do we know Harvey's whereabouts?
He's in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Yeah, he's in the. Unless he's been kidnapped, he's in the Kennan Hall of Fame under glass, and where he's been for quite some time. But as you and I both well know, in our era, there were shenanigans that took place.
Shenan and shenanigan. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, Harvey wasn't always where he was supposed to be, regardless of who was supposed to have him necessarily. So
that's correct. Well, and I'll give you a quick story on that. I think the funniest of the kidnapping stories of the totem pole being kidnapped is, Tech has a different name for the totem pole than those at Middle, and Tech had legitimately won it on the field, so it was in a spot in the bookstore in Cookeville. Well, a bunch of enterprising ROTC cadets at MTSU took a little road trip up to the plateau and went to the bookstore and found the bookstore manager and said, "Hey, the president wants to do some publicity photos with Shinny Ninny, and so we need to get the totem pole and take it over to the president's office." And so, of course, the bookstore manager got his key, opened up the case that the totem pole was in, and to add a little salt to the wound, one of the ROTC guys says, "I've got a little shoulder issue. Could you help us load this into the car?" So he actually got the bookstore manager to help him load it into the car, and they hightailed it out of there, heading to Murfreesboro.
He didn't notice the Rutherford County plates on the back of that vehicle as it was pulling off, huh?
Nor did he notice the MTSU student parking sticker on the back window.
Officially,
I thought that was a pretty good one.
That's excellent. Officially, Harvey has been in Middle Tennessee State's possession since a 44-0 victory in Murfreesboro on September 14th, 2006. So almost 18 years since the last meeting Tech's last win, by the way, was in
He-
1997. So
And so he's been there. So he's been in Murfreesboro for 27 years now, and
since
loves it here.
yeah, we've kind of gotten used to Harvey being here. So, and I would imagine after that shenanigan there that somebody would have to show up with something in writing from someone to get Harvey to get possession of Harvey, or maybe you just say, you know what, I'll take it to the president. How's that? I got you. We got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chip, late last week, I guess, it was announced that, speaking of Nicholas Vadiato, he and Liberty's Caden Salter have both been named to the Manning Award watch list. That was announced by the All-State Sugar Bowl last year. The Manning Award, obviously given to the nation's top quarterback. Vadiato started all 12 games last year, completing almost 67% of his passes for 3,092 yards and 23 touchdowns. Rushed for 397 yards, second on the team with a couple of scores as well. Just the third different quarterback in MTSU history to record a 3,000-yard passing season. I was not aware of that.
Yeah, and that's why there's a lot of running backs in the Hall of Fame, your Coach Donnelly's era, there weren't going to be many quarterbacks who had that opportunity to get 3,000 yards.
That's a good point.
And prior to that, but there've been a lot of guys who flirted with it. And I'm trying to think who the three are, but obviously you've got Brent Stocksel has got several of them in his career. Wes Counts was right there. Logan Kilgore. Quinn, maybe. I would say Ironside would have had a good opportunity, but he had such a good cast around him, both run and pass in the early '90s. And then you think back in the '60s and the Teddy Morrises and the Walkers, who were great quarterbacks in those eras. They did a lot of running, and like we've got a dual threat one going in the Hall of Fame this year in Marvin Collier, who would have probably had several 5,000 passing yard seasons had he not been such a good runner. But offenses have become more open. Yardage has gone up, so most of those opportunities are going to be on guys who've been around in the last 15, 20 years. But he's one of them. That's true.
Stockstill, Chase Cunningham, Vadiato, and then just outside that mark, Dwight Dasher and Clint Marks.
Look at you.
Who just missed the cusp. A couple of guys from my era back in the day.
How about that?
I mean, they're right there. Dasher with
27.89
and Marks with 27.49.
And I forgot. Now go on down that list. Go on down that list a little bit more. Who's right below?
Give you a little more.
20 was the first.
You get behind him. You got Joe Craddock, 26.77. 26.16 is Asher O'Hara, and then the list ends in 99 with Wes Counts.
The lefty.
26.03. So
again,
a real who's who at the QB position over the years there.
Well, I mean, all of those were winners. All of those were guys in the modern era that with offenses that threw the ball a lot. So that's not unexpected.
Clint Marks out of Fayetteville, right?
No, Clint Marks was from Florida. He was the first bowl quarterback. First quarterback to he led medal to the Motor City Bowl. Clint was from Florida and still lives in Murfreesboro. Has a son playing at PCA now, and he and his wife are doing great. But your two quarterbacks from Fayetteville, obviously, Mr. Holcomb and Shelby
Parker.
Shelby Parker. There you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
My bad. Chip Walters, The Blue Raider Voice joining us here on Main Street Sports today as we continue to get ready for that Tennessee Tech game on August 31st, a week from Saturday. Tell me about the party in the Grove, Chip.
Just announced a lot of the details on that yesterday. They're taking it up several notches over there. There's going to be a dedicated band stage right in the middle of the grove of Walnut Grove, and my girl Beverly Keel, who is the dean of the College of Media and Entertainment and a former Lady Raider volleyball player for Diane Cummings at the time. Beverly, a mover and shaker within the music business, she is booking all the bands and has said that one of her number one priorities is that they have an MTSU tie to them. So there's going to be bands every Saturday or every home game, food trucks, a lot of the popular, family, kid-friendly things, the bounce house type stuff. But there's going to be a Greek circle where all the Greek organizations can have their tents and their party areas. And everybody who's been able to go out there uh, and and that's continued to tailgate. They're just kind of up in the ante out there. You're still going to have Raider Walk at 2 hours, 15 minutes or so prior to kickoff going through there. But all of this is going to start at 3.5 hours prior to kickoff. So at 2:30 on the 31st, this will kick off, and it will cap off with a Follow Me to Floyd parade. So they're basically at 45 minutes prior to kickoff. They're going to wind down the music, wind down everything, and really make a concerted effort, get everybody, in a kind of like a Mardi Gras parade, but headed from the tailgate area into the stadium to be there for kickoff. And so that's all part of it. There's a whole list of things that are going to be going on, and it's all on GoBlueRaiders.com right now.
Sounds like fun. Making Middle Tennessee State football an event. Chip, what else have you got for us here? And again, I cannot tell you enough how much we love having Chip on because he sends us a cheat sheet. Yes, the pickleball extravaganza. Tell us more.
Jimmy Borndame has number one. He's obviously the tennis community in Murfreesboro is very, very strong, and obviously there is a pickleball phenomenon going on across the country. And Jimmy wanted to, Jimmy is a very inclusionistic, if that's a word, type guy, and wants to bring more people. Inclusionary, okay. Wants to bring more people into his tennis program and into their orbit, so to speak. And thought, why not? Not everybody can come out and play on a full size tennis court. So, and knowing that there are a lot of people who, may have played tennis at early age. Now they're, the pickleball court fits their game a little better these days. So, for a $30 entry fee on the 13th, Friday the 13th, to be exact, of September, that's Western Kentucky weekend. There's going to be a Friday night pickleball event out. They're going to take all the courts at the new outdoor tennis facility, line them off temporarily for pickleball, and all the players can come and play. And with your $30 fee, you're going to get a game ticket to the Western Kentucky football game. Coach Mason is already committed to coming out and making an appearance at the pickleball event on Friday night. And then for those who are racket sport connoisseurs, as soon as the event is over at 9 o'clock Friday night, they'll pull up all the tape of the temporary lines, and then on Saturday morning at 10 a.m., middle and the Vols will go at it on the hard court, and so there's that's going to be a fun weekend.
There we go. Chip, we appreciate it as always. We look forward to visiting with you next Tuesday. And
honored to be on
hopefully,
here with Teresa Walker today. It's your W day with Walker and Walters, and I was happy to have talked to Teresa during her sojourn in France, and that was fun to catch up with her over there.
you are more adventurous than we are. As much trouble as we have with connectivity issues, I just wasn't willing to try to go overseas to try to get a guest. So we just waited until she got back to us and got her on. But yeah, that was it's always good when we can visit with Teresa. Always good when we can visit with you, and look forward to having you next Tuesday at that time. That channel. Oh. Yes.
Yeah. One last thing I want to mention. Tomorrow morning staying in the football mode of things, tomorrow morning on my roundtable show, we're talking tailgating, and I've got Kent Whitaker, who is the deck chef. He's got cookbooks and tailgate tips and all of that, and also a secret guest, the godfather of Murfreesboro and MTSU tailgating, will also be my guest. That guest will be revealed tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.
Ah, okay. A little suspense there for Chip's Roundtable. Chip, we appreciate it. All right, we'll talk to you.
Thank you, Chip.
When we continue on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, it's the Grab Bag. Stay tuned when we come back to the Lee Company Studios after this.
Robertson County Chancery Court is hosting an in-person court auction Saturday, September 7th at 10 a.m. Buy up to 9.46 acres of beautiful Robertson County land, selling in 2 tracts. Each tract includes water and approved soil areas. Located at 4637 Boyd Holland Road. Join us Saturday, September 7th at 10 a.m. Sales subject to court approval. For more details, call 615-384-5650 today.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We are Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. And this is the Grab Bag. Flavor Flav, American hero. And he didn't stop when he got back from Paris. There is an article on People where the rapper, the hype man, the hype man, has helped a Paralympian help his parents make the trip to Paris for the Paralympics that start up here soon. Imagine spending 18 years taking your kid to every practicing game and working 2 to 3 jobs to buy equipment and then not being able to watch them play the biggest game of their life, was what he said in retweeting a tweet from Nick Mayhew, who created a GoFundMe to help pay for expenses for his parents to travel. They've never been out of the country, couldn't watch me compete in Tokyo due to COVID. Any and all donations are appreciated. Nick Mayhew is a 3-time gold medalist Paralympian, diagnosed at the age of 14 with cerebral palsy. Helped the national soccer team to a bronze medal at the 2019 Pan American Games, and has won 3 gold medals in the 100 meters. And well, let's see, the 100 meters, the 200 meters, and the 4x1 medley in Tokyo. So obviously Flav was huge with the U.S. water polo team over in Paris, and with Vanderbilt thrower Veronica Fraley, who was having some rent issues. Also hung out with Dr. Joe Biden while he was over there. And there's a nice clip of him sitting down at a piano over there in Paris and just riffing. He is
having a big time and spreading joy.
He's a Renaissance man.
Man, yeah. And the good news is already over $10,000 that the Mayhews were hoping to raise. Looks like they're up to about $12,000.
That's awesome.
So hopefully every little bit helps. And so hopefully that awareness that Flav dropped may have got them either to the goal or a little beyond the goal, as producer Mark is, I think, firing up. Yeah, there's a shot of the official numbers there.
Nice.
So over the $10,000 goal by a healthy margin here.
You'll take that.
Yeah, absolutely. Good work by all.
Yeah. A couple of months ago, we mentioned to you former Ole Miss quarterback Chad Kelly had been suspended by 2023 performance as the league's most outstanding player. Well, apparently he's back.
Okay.
Suspended on May 7th for Toronto's 2 exhibition games, as well as their first 9 regular season contests, for violating gender-based violence policies of the league. Sunday, it was announced that Kelly had been reinstated on a last chance agreement, providing that he continues to meet a number of ongoing conditions that are confidential and won't be disclosed, but reflect the need for him to demonstrate a continued commitment to upholding league standards. So, I don't know, what that means necessarily for Toronto. They just defeated Calgary 39-25 earlier this month. He's not played since the loss to Montreal in the division final last year. Kelly took roughly 70% of the starting offense snaps in Sunday's practice, and so it's likely that he's going to play Thursday night when the Argonauts take on the Saskatchewan Roughriders. That's got to be tough if you are the quarterback who's been in there through all this. But
yeah, Swag Kelly coming back, and Toronto, holding down. But what I think a lot of folks, when this news came out, everybody's just saying, "Oh yeah, didn't realize that he's still around." But yeah, absolutely playing at a high level in the CFL, and a lot of their hopes were kind of hinging or pinned on him he got suspended, like you mentioned. We talked about this talked about this story a couple weeks ago on this show, all the way back in May, as a matter of fact. So, I mean, Toronto's this is a big deal for them. And, if you're the backup, you're probably a little irritated. But if you're Coach Dinwiddie, you're probably saying, okay, time to finally get this thing rolling now.
There we go. They went 16-2 last year with Kelly.
Yep.
So I guess it's kind of get on back in here. The Maui Invitational will return to Maui this November after the wildfires forced it from Lahaina to Honolulu, and highlighting that 8-game field for the Maui Invitational will be two-time defending national champion UConn. They will play Memphis in the opening round on November 25th. Your other opening matchups will be Colorado, Michigan State, Auburn, Iowa State, and Dayton, North Carolina. According to tournament chairman and former Wake Forest coach Dave Odom, it's one of the strongest fields in the event's history. I can see where that would be the case.
Yeah, you got UConn coming back with Hurley.
I
mean, that is massive alone. You mentioned Iowa State. They're always, kind of right there in the mix. Michigan State, one of those as well. Dayton, North Carolina. I mean, Penny obviously going to have his guys there. I mean, that is set up to be nice. So a good story, especially considering that it was kind of dicey there for a little bit with the wildfires.
Absolutely. Prior to the Maui Invitation, speaking of Penny, the Tigers will be playing at the Probst Arena down in Huntsville against Alabama in a charity exhibition game on October 28th. So if you'd like to see the Tigers, but you don't necessarily want to go to Memphis, you can slip down 65 and check them out against Alabama, and that should be a pretty good ball game.
Should be a good game. And, on the other side of things, if you're wanting to see potentially one of the teams that could cut down the nets this season, the Crimson Tide are going to be a force this year until the tournament begins, and then in which case, as we know, UConn will just blow everybody out like they've done the last 2 years.
Clearly.
And then we'll be done. But outside of that, Alabama's going to have a fantastic shot this year.
They're going to have a shot until they don't.
Exactly. I like what Oates has got them. Obviously, when they had Sears come back, I feel like it really gave them the kickstart they were looking for. But, man, this is set up nicely and a nice little exhibition contest for Memphis to see what they're about this year.
The 2024 Rocket City Classic, all proceeds from it will support the Huntsville Hospital Foundation. So we're excited and looking forward to partnering with Memphis for this meaningful event in Huntsville, Oates said. This exhibition game is a chance to benefit the Huntsville Hospital Foundation and give back to people in need, which goes beyond basketball. We look forward to seeing our fans in Huntsville and the opportunity to play a quality program in Memphis. Alabama 4-6 all time against Memphis. And again, this is an exhibition game, so it won't count. Alabama did beat the Tigers 91-88 back in 2022 and finished 25-12 this past season with their first ever Final Four appearance. Memphis 22-10 last year. Penny going into year number 7.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. So, finally, we mentioned while off air, Delaware State still has plenty of time to get to Hawaii for their season open football game against the Warriors. But they missed their flight out today. Apparently, bus issues prevented them from catching their nonstop flight over to Hawaii, a 10.5-hour nonstop flight. And so we're working on a plan to get the team to Hawaii say, Delaware State officials. Now, again, it's Tuesday. The game is Saturday.
Yeah.
They were flying out of JFK in New York on a nonstop, trying to avoid a layover, which makes an already long flight longer.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say the clock is ticking at this point after, quote, a bus snafu on the trip to JFK from Delaware State kept them from making the flight. So best of luck to the Hornets. But as you were saying, if you were a passenger on that flight, not related or not affiliated with Delaware State, man, you suddenly got some breathing room.
It ain't quite like Vince Young buying every seat on the Southwest flight years ago, but man, it's close, right? Because I mean, you got a whole football team, then all of a sudden, poof, they're gone. And you're sitting there and you hear word, hey, you're on the same flight as the Delaware State football team. Oh man, this is going to be packed. These dudes are really big. This is not great. You read this headline. They've not made their flight. Oh, you mean now I can sit anywhere I want practically at this point. So
I can sit everywhere I want.
Yeah. And for 10 and a half hours on a presumed now basically practically empty flight, if things kind of serve, so to speak, then yeah, you've hit the jackpot there at that point.
You are sitting pretty.
6 p.m. local time in Hawaii on Saturday. So
I think it's midnight Eastern.
Yeah, a little bit later for us. And so you're hoping that they get out safe. I'm obviously worried about equipment too. That is not mentioned in this story, but that's going to be something to keep an eye on. As Hawaii, where's this? Just saw this stat here. Hawaii has a 20-game home win streak versus FCS teams. And they've won those games by about 26 points a game. So Delaware State's already a little bit behind the 8 ball after going 1-10 last year. And then with these travel issues, best of luck. Yeah, like you said, to the Hornets. They're going to need it.
Best of luck to the Hornets. Hey, let's take a quick break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return to the Lee Company Studios for the last segment of the show, it's Top 5 Tuesday. Best sports quotes. Stay with us.
So, you want to be a part of the Busy Bee team, huh? Well, how do you see yourself fitting into the organization? Oh, I get it. You want to be a weather bee.
He shoots, and he scores!
Robertson County Chancery Court is hosting an in-person court auction Saturday, September 7th at 10 a.m. Buy up to 9.46 acres of beautiful Robertson County land, selling in 2 tracts. Each tract includes water and approved soil areas. Located at 4637 Boyd Holland Road. Join us Saturday, September 7th at 10 a.m. Sales subject to court approval. For more details, call 615-384-5650 today.
It's the final segment of Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. Again, it is Top 5 Tuesday. And so Wade and I are going to give you what we feel like are the top 5 sports quotes by sports personalities of all time. So, Mr. Neely.
You know, this is a real sports quote, but I think it took on a whole new meaning of life after The Office. When Wayne Gretzky said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And then Michael Scott immortalizes that by quoting himself as quoting Wayne Gretzky. But that quote, I mean, lives forever. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So if you're feeling a little apprehensive, you need a little dash of motivation, Wayne Gretzky had you covered back in the day.
Shoot your shot.
Yeah, 100%, baby.
There you go. When this topic came up, the first quote that sprung to my mind, we talking about practice.
Oh, man.
Not a game. We talking practice. Allen Iverson, it's timeless. It lives forever.
That is one that will live forever. That was one of the early viral videos for all intents and purposes. So good pull there on AI. I'm a Michigan guy. I got to have a little Bo Schembechler sprinkled in here when he famously said, "Those that stay will become champions." And man, for a team that just won the national championship on the backs of a lot of seniors, Harbaugh was kind of toying whether or not he should have stayed, he should have left. That kind of old mantra, rest in peace, Bo Schembechler, kind of came back as those who stay will become champions.
Does your list also include a Michigan man will coach Michigan?
No, but it very well could. It very well could. I can only do one, Bo, without going full homer. Steve Fisher, man, legendary run for him with Glenn Rice and winning in the national championship.
This guy doesn't say a lot, but when he does, it's typically pretty quotable. I've got 3 that I could go with, but I'm just going to, for producer Mark, I'm going to keep it short. I'm just here so I won't get fined. Beast mode, Marshawn Lynch at Seattle's Super Bowl media day.
He had some epic quotes.
And not all of them, unfortunately, are suitable for middle of the day consumption.
Yep. Very well said. How about this one, Mo? Gary Lineker is a former soccer player. He's a famous commentator. I didn't know that soccer was so simple, but it comes down to this quote here. He says, "Soccer is a game for 22 people where they run around, they pass the ball. Football is a simple game. Football. 22 men chase a ball for 90 minutes, and at the end, the Germans always win." So if you take the game of soccer into that context, you got it pretty much wrapped up because it's pretty simple. The 2 teams run around for 90 minutes, and at the end, the Germans always win. They pretty much
always win.
So I've always thought that was a good one from Gary Lineker.
It took me 17 years to get 3,000 hits in baseball. I did it in one afternoon on the golf course. Hank Aaron.
Yep. That is a great quote because he's letting you know, hey, I'm the best at one thing, but that don't mean I'm the best at that thing.
The small ball, not so much.
Not
Absolutely.
as much. Do you remember or do you know about Bob Green, the famous NAI and D2 coach at Montana Tech? We could literally run this video, but the one that always I enjoy, the viral coach for Montana Tech. I just thought of another good one on there too. My favorite one, though, he says, talking about his team, he said, "We just want to be like a woodpecker in a petrified forest. Just keep him busy." Look up Bob Green YouTube clips.
You owe it to yourself. And thank us later.
Yeah, just watch them all. I mean, he said, it's like kind of after a close loss, kind of like watching your mother-in-law go off a cliff in your brand new Cadillac. You got mixed feelings. I mean, so Bob Green, the legendary quote machine. Producer Mark will check it out for us later.
Mike Singletary's coaching career in the National Football League was not a long one, but he left us with this. "I want winners." And it was part of a longer rant, but again, in the interest of producer Mark, I'll just boil it down to "I want winners."
That one was legendary, to say the least. Last one up for me. Producer Mark was trying to shout out a little Mike Tyson, but that one was on my list, the original Mike Tyson. Everybody's got a plan till they get punched in the mouth. I mean, when Tyson, you can sit there at the height of his powers Everybody can game plan. Everybody can talk this, can talk that. But at the end of the day, when that bell rings and he whops you one time, usually most of those plans, for prime Tyson at least, went out the window.
Most of them probably just stopped.
I mean, epic stuff from Tyson at the height of his powers.
My number 5, and I have options. I'm going to go with you play to win the game. Hello?
Herm?
You play to win the game. Yeah, Herm Edwards. There were some left on the cutting room floor, including a couple from, I think it did, Mark. Can you hear me?
I can through this, yeah.
Good.
My little, I'm leaning in real close and cutting down.
Appreciate it, yeah.
Yeah. Herm has had a wild career as the Jets coach. Some good, some not so good, which is pretty standard for a lot of Jets coaches over the years.
As I was perusing through quotes, I also came up with one from Bruce Coslet, speaking of Jets coaches.
I thought you were going to have a Joe Montana. Joe Namath sideline Susie Colbert reference there, so I'm glad you avoided us there with that one.
No.
What you got on Bruce?
Oh no! I didn't write it down, but I did see one that was
They have a bad run, and Herm ends up getting traded to the Chiefs, the rare coach trade from back in the day, one of the originals. And man, I had really, really high hopes, but the bottom of his tenure the end of his tenure was not great, including, hello, you play to win the game. With that same vein, we could have thrown in a couple former Indianapolis Colts.
Oh, Jim Mora.
Jim Mora. I mean, there's a treasure trove of quotes there. Just get on the web and type in Jim Mora, and you could pull several from these. So,
and of course the Yogi Berra quotes.
What did I see about a slump earlier? He said, "I'm not in a slump. I just ain't hitting." I mean, classic stuff.
Baseball is 90% mental, and the other half is physical. Yeah, there's some great ones out there. As Mark has pointed out, my mic has died, so I'm hoping the weight is catching just enough of me to be
We're wafting
to be heard a little bit. But with that being the case, this being our first time back in the studio, apparently everything wasn't plugged up. So let's go ahead and call it a day here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Let's come back tomorrow at 2:00. We will see y'all then.